Hello, dear friends. My name's Logan. I'm 27 years old, and I'm from Brazil. But here's the thing. Just 4 months ago, I couldn't even string together a single full sentence in English. Not even something simple like, "How are you?" I was totally lost whenever I tried. Today, I want to share how I managed to learn English in just 4 months, without shelling out money for expensive classes, without going to an English-speaking country, and without wasting time on stuff that doesn't actually work. But this isn't just my story. It's yours too. If you've ever felt stuck, frustrated, or embarrassed because of your English, keep watching. I've been right where you are. And I promise, if you stick with me and hear the whole story, step by step, you'll know exactly what to do to level up your English. Now let's rewind a bit, because my journey didn't kick off with motivation or inspiration. It started with a serious failure, the kind that really shakes you up and changes everything. I'd always dreamed of working for a global company. My ultimate goal was to become a software engineer at a major tech firm. I loved coding. I was good at it, and I pushed myself every single day to get better. After years of hard work, I finally got my chance. I applied to a top company in the U.S., and one day I got this email from a recruiter that said, "Congratulations, you've been selected for an interview." I was beyond excited. I could already see it. Living in a new country, earning a great salary, working with amazing professionals. Everything I wanted felt like it was right in front of me. But then the interview came. I remember it clearly like it was yesterday. I opened up Zoom and saw 3 people on the screen, native English speakers. They started talking, and it felt like someone hit fast forward. I couldn't follow anything they were saying. Then came the first question. "Logan, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your experience in software development?" I froze. I knew the answer in my head, but the words just wouldn't come out. All I could say was, yes. I'm software. I do coding. Many projects good. I am very good." The silence that followed? Brutal. It felt like a punch in the gut. They asked another question, but I couldn't get the words out for that one either. Eventually, one of them gave me a polite smile and said, "All right, Logan, thank you for your time." I knew exactly what that meant. I had failed, not because I wasn't skilled enough, but because I couldn't speak English that day. That moment hit me hard. I realized English wasn't just a language. It was the key to everything I wanted. And right then, I didn't have it. I felt ashamed, embarrassed, and honestly pretty angry at myself. For years, I told myself, I don't need English. I'll just be really good at what I do. That'll be enough. But the truth was right there in front of me. Without English, I was invisible. That night, I made a promise to myself. I was going to learn English, and I was going to do it fast. Now, most people who start learning English immediately sign up for expensive classes. But I didn't. Why? Because I had already tried that, and it didn't work. A year earlier, I paid for an online English course. The teacher had me memorizing vocabulary lists, doing grammar drills, and studying all these boring rules. But after 3 months of that, I still couldn't carry a basic conversation. That's when I realized those expensive courses weren't going to get me where I wanted to go. If I really wanted to speak English fast, I needed a different approach, something that actually worked in real life. That's when I came up with my own method, a system that helped me learn English in just 4 months. And I'm going to share it with you, step by step. Step 1, the first 15 days. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is thinking they need to learn more words. I made that mistake too. I thought, if I just memorize 1,000 words, I'll be fluent. But here's the truth. I already knew hundreds of words, and I still couldn't speak. So during those first 15 days, I didn't study any new vocabulary. Not one. Instead, I did something way more powerful. I focused on using the words I already knew. Here's exactly what I did. First, I created something I call a survival sentence list. I sat down and asked myself, what do I actually need to say in daily life? Then I wrote out 50 simple sentences that I knew I'd use all the time. For example, "Hi, how are you? Can you say that again? I didn't catch it." That was me all the time in the beginning. I'd say, "I'm learning English," or "I need a coffee, please." Every morning, I would go over my 50 daily sentences out loud. Not once, not twice, but 10 full times. At first, my tongue felt heavy, like it didn't want to cooperate. But after just 5 days, something clicked. Those sentences started to come out naturally. Next, I started doing something kind of strange, but super helpful. I began talking to myself in English. Every single day, And honestly, this might have been one of the best things I ever did. Whenever I was alone, I'd speak out loud in English. Like, when I was in the shower, I'd say stuff like, "I'm taking a shower. The water is hot. I feel relaxed." When I cooked breakfast, I'd say, "I'm making eggs. I like eggs. They're easy to cook." Yeah, at first I felt kind of ridiculous, talking to myself like that. But then I realized, this was my own private classroom. No one was around to laugh or judge. And after just a week of doing this, my brain actually started thinking in English. The third thing I did was practice 5 new sentences every day, but I didn't just read them. I went further. Each day, I picked 5 lines from real conversations, like from a movie or something someone said online. But instead of just reading them, I copied them exactly. I repeated each sentence 10 times, trying to match the native speaker's speed, tone, and feeling. This helped me get rid of my weird accent and sound more like a natural speaker. By the end of those first 15 days, something really changed. I wasn't translating in my head anymore. I could speak simple sentences without stopping to think about every word. I started feeling confident. But that was just the warm-up. Part 2, the real practice begins. Once I fixed my biggest mistake in those first 15 days, I felt ready for the next level. I could speak basic stuff smoothly, and I wasn't second-guessing every word. But I knew that wasn't enough. I didn't just want to say short phrases. I wanted real conversations. I wanted to actually understand native speakers without turning every word into Portuguese in my brain. I wanted to be fluent. So I came up with a new plan, something that really changed the game for me. And if you follow it, I'm telling you, you'll improve faster than you think is possible. I noticed something important. Every time I tried to speak, my brain moved slow. I knew the words, but I couldn't connect them fast enough. It felt unnatural. That's when I came up with what I now call the question-answer method. It's simple, but super effective. Here's what I did. Step 1. I asked myself a simple question in English. Step 2. I answered it right away, without overthinking. Step 3. I did it again, but added more to the answer each time. Let's say the question was, "What did you do today?" At first, my answer would be basic. I worked. Then I'd expand. I worked on my project. Then more. I worked on my project for 3 hours. And even more. I worked on my project for 3 hours. Then I took a break. And finally, I worked on my project for 3 hours. Then I took a break and had some coffee. Every time, I pushed myself to add more details. That forced my brain to build sentences fast, in real time, just like in a real conversation. Another question, what did you eat for breakfast? First I'd say, I ate eggs. Then, I ate eggs and toast. Then, I ate eggs, toast, and a banana. Finally, I ate eggs, toast, and a banana because I was really hungry and I love big breakfasts. I did this drill every day for at least 30 minutes. And it worked. My speaking speed shot up. My sentences got longer and smoother. I stopped thinking in Portuguese and just let the English flow. But one big issue still remained, pronunciation. Even though I could talk, I still sounded like a foreigner. People could understand me, sure, but my accent was strong and I didn't feel natural. So I used what I now call the echo technique. And honestly, it's the best pronunciation trick I've ever used, even without a teacher. Here's how it works. Step 1. I'd listen to a native speaker. Could be a movie, a YouTube video, or a podcast. Step 2. I'd pause after each sentence. Step 3. I'd repeat the sentence exactly. Same speed, same tone, same feeling. Let me give you an example. I took a short scene from a movie. The character said, "I don't know what you're talking about." I paused and said it myself. "I don't know what you're talking about." At first, it was tough to match the rhythm and tone. But after repeating it 10 times, I started sounding more like the native speaker. Another one from a podcast. It was a beautiful day, so I decided to go for a walk. That kind of practice, every day, helped me not just speak English, but sound like someone who's actually comfortable with it. I paused and repeated. It was a beautiful day, so I went for a walk, something I did every day for 30 minutes. After a month, my pronunciation improved so much that even native speakers said, "Wow, your English sounds really natural." I knew vocabulary was key, but memorizing word lists never worked for me. So I needed a smarter method. I used the story method. Here's how. I picked 5 new words every day. I made a short story using all 5 words. I read it out loud 10 times. I used those words in real conversations. For example, new words: excited, invitation, party, arrive, surprise. My story: I was very excited because I got an invitation to a big party. When I arrived, I had a huge surprise. It was my birthday. I did this daily. After 3 months, I had learned over 1,000 new words without memorizing anything. One major problem learners face is translating from their native language. It slows you down and makes speech unnatural. So I trained my brain to think in English. Here's how. First, I described everything around me in English. For example, during walks, I thought, the sky is blue. The weather is hot. I see people walking. That man is wearing a red shirt. Secondly, I asked myself questions and answered in English. Like, what am I doing right now? Answer: I'm sitting in a chair, drinking coffee, writing in my notebook. Thirdly, I kept a daily journal, always in English. At first, my sentences were basic, but after a month, my writing flowed naturally. Soon, something amazing happened. I stopped translating. English thoughts came naturally. Then I made a powerful rule. Speak English for at least 2 hours every day. No excuses. If no one was around, I spoke to myself. If I was busy, I spoke while cooking or cleaning. If I felt lazy, I reminded myself, English is my future. I can't give up. Now that I had the habit of listening and repeating, I wanted to level up. But I realized something important. Just speaking and listening wasn't enough. I had to understand grammar and sentence structure better. I didn't want to make confusing mistakes. I wanted to sound natural. So I paid close attention to how native speakers formed sentences. Every time I heard one, I didn't just repeat. I asked, why is it structured like that? For example, I often heard, I've been learning English for 5 months. But in school, I was taught to say, I am learning English for 5 months. That was a big realization. The English we learn in school isn't the English people actually speak. So I started studying the differences. I learned when and why people use tenses like present perfect. I asked, why say I've been learning instead of I am learning? These small differences made a big impact. I wrote down sentence patterns and used them in real conversations. One of my toughest challenges was prepositions. On the bus, but in the car. At night, but in the morning. Why? I kept a notebook for tricky prepositions with real examples. Anytime I had doubts, I looked for answers online or paid attention to how native speakers used them. To go further, I wrote daily diary entries in English. At first, today I went to work. I was tired. I ate pizza. It was good. But I wanted more. I asked myself, how do native speakers write? So I read blogs, books, and articles, and copied their sentence style in my diary. Then came something that supercharged my progress: shadowing. I listened to native speakers, wore headphones, and immediately repeated every word, copying their rhythm and speed. Just 20 minutes a day, and my pronunciation improved fast. Another game changer? Watching English movies with subtitles. But I didn't just watch. I paused after every line and repeated it, focusing on tone and rhythm. Bit by bit, I started sounding more natural. That's when I realized, English isn't just grammar and words, it's also confidence. Many people know English, but are too scared to speak. I decided I wouldn't let fear stop me. I spoke English whenever I could, at work, in stores, with friends, even when I wasn't sure I was saying it right. And something surprising happened. People understood me. They didn't laugh. Even with small mistakes, they got it. That gave me the courage to keep going. Then I faced my biggest fear, speaking with native English speakers. I was terrified they wouldn't understand me, or I'd freeze up. So I made a plan. I practiced 10 common topics daily. How was your day? What's your job? What's your favorite food? I made sure I could answer fluently. Then I took the leap. I joined an online group where people from different countries practiced English. At first, I was nervous, but I quickly saw everyone was learning, just like me. I made friends from around the world and practiced with them. It helped a lot and made learning fun. As I reached the final stage of my journey, I felt a deep, unshakable confidence. I wasn't the same person who once got rejected because of my English. I had changed, step by step, with effort, practice, and the right mindset. One night, I stood in front of the mirror, talking to myself as usual. But this time, something felt different. I wasn't hesitating. I wasn't translating. The words just flowed. It felt like magic, but it was the result of months of hard work. That same day, I tested myself. I joined an online meeting where people discussed deep topics. At first, I was nervous, but I told myself, "You've worked too hard to doubt yourself now." Then I spoke. My words came out clearly and confidently. I didn't get stuck. I understood everyone, and they understood me. People nodded as I spoke. They even asked me questions. It was one of the best moments of my life. That's when I knew I had become fluent. 5 months after I began my journey, I applied for my dream job again. But this time, I wasn't the same Logan who walked in months ago, scared and unsure. No, this time I walked in with confidence. I sat across from the interviewer, not as someone afraid of English, but as someone who had mastered it. I spoke clearly. I answered every question with ease. I wasn't just speaking English, I was owning it. And I could see it in their eyes. They weren't just impressed by my English. They were moved by my effort, my determination, and how far I'd come. A few days later, I got the call I'll never forget. "Jack, congratulations. You got the job." For a second, I just stood there frozen. The same company that once rejected me, now wanted me. My starting salary? $5,000 a month. That was more money than I ever imagined earning. I stared at my phone, hands shaking, eyes full of tears. The first thing I did was call my parents. "Mom, Dad, I did it." My mother broke down crying. My father, who rarely shows emotion, simply said, "We always knew you could." And in that moment, I realized I wasn't just doing this for me. I was doing it for them too. With my first paycheck, I bought my dad a beautiful watch, something he always wanted but never bought for himself. For my mom, I got a gold necklace. She had sacrificed so much, it was time I gave something back. When I handed them the gifts, they refused. "We don't need anything, son." But I shook my head. "This is how I say thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." And that was the moment I knew every struggle had been worth it. Every late night, every frustration, every time I almost gave up. It all led to this. Key lessons from my journey. Now, let me share the 7 biggest lessons that helped me become fluent in English in just a few months. First lesson. Mindset is everything. Most people fail not because of grammar, but because they believe they can't do it. I used to say, "I'm bad at English." But once I changed that to, "I'm improving every day," everything changed. If you believe you can, you'll find a way. Second lesson. Surround yourself with English. I changed my phone language to English. I watched only English content, followed English creators, listened to English music, even when I didn't understand all the lyrics. Every object I saw, I named in English. That's a blue car. It's moving fast. My brain was learning English without me even realizing it. Third lesson. Speak without fear. At first, I was terrified of making mistakes. But then I realized, native speakers don't care. They appreciate effort. So I pushed myself. I spoke to shopkeepers, strangers, even to myself. The more I spoke, the more confident I became. Fourth lesson. Active listening plus shadowing. I didn't just listen, I shadowed. I played podcasts and repeated every sentence right after the speaker, copying their rhythm, speed, and tone. It felt awkward at first, but my pronunciation improved fast. Fifth lesson. Learn vocabulary in context. Forget memorizing lists. I learned real phrases like, "I feel happy today." Instead of just happy, context made the words stick and made me sound natural. Sixth lesson. Grammar without textbooks. I didn't study grammar rules for hours. Instead, I learned by listening and speaking. When I said, "He go to school," and someone corrected me, "He goes to school," I remembered it. That's how you truly learn grammar, by using it. Seventh lesson. Consistency over perfection. Don't wait until you're perfect to start. I spoke English from day one, even if I only knew 20 words. Some days I spoke for 10 minutes. Some days I wrote. Some days I just listened. But I did something in English every single day. You don't need expensive classes. You don't need a perfect environment. You just need commitment. Now, imagine yourself 6 months from today, speaking fluently, confidently. Imagine the new job, the new friends, the new life waiting for you. All you have to do is start. Final words. This isn't just about learning English. It's about changing your life. If I can do it, you can do it too. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you make. What matters is that you begin right now. I know it feels hard. I know it feels impossible sometimes. But here's the truth. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret? That lasts forever. So what will you choose? Choose discipline. Choose growth. Choose success. Your journey to fluency begins now. If this story inspired you, like this video and subscribe to my channel. Your future self will thank you.